Alright, so the VTOL VR Mission Editor. A lot of people don't understand it, and it makes sense. It's kind of hard to learn. So this is going to be a very basic tutorial on how to get used to it and how to do what you want to do. I might come back to it and do a more in-depth tutorial, but other YouTubers have done it way better than I ever will, so I recommend you just go check out theirs if you want to. So first thing you got to do is you're going to want to go over here and go to Mission Editor. Now I'll probably cover the map editor in a different video, but the Mission Editor, if you're trying to create a single player mission, you're going to want to go to standalone, and if you're trying to create a multiplayer, you're going to have to go to campaign. So I'm going to be creating a multiplayer mission, so I'm going to go to campaign. So I just named mine youtube.vtc, and you can just name it, oops, just knocked over a microphone on my desk. So you can just name it whatever you want. You can, if you go into, I'll show you later, editor resources, and you put a image in there, you can choose what image. This is where you enter your description. And now here's where you create missions. So you're going to click New Mission. Oh, never mind. Sorry, my bad. Click Save. New Mission, default map. But this is also where you will be able to select. So yeah, I'm just going to go with the default map now, which is where the default campaign of the game takes place. But you can also make your own maps, download maps that other people have made. There's a couple pre-made ones by Baja. So then you're going to enter a text. I'm just going to put YouTube once again. Obviously, they will be able to see like the campaign name, the description, but the people downloading your campaign off of the workshop will not be able to see the file name. Click Edit. Alright, so when you jump into the VT editor, you're going to notice a few things. First, you're going to notice if your map comes pre-made with an airbase, those will show up. And you're going to notice this little yellow octagon here. So you can use W, S, A, and D. So you can use A, D, W, S to move around just like you would. And then you can use Q and E to rotate this, which will be important later. You can use the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom in or zoom out. And if you press Shift, it allows you to move around faster. And while pressing Shift, if you use the scroll wheel, it also allows you to change your altitude. Alright, so first thing is first, how do you enter the game? Well, for multiplayer and single player, which is the same, you're going to go over here to Units, click New. Now you can choose to do Allied or Enemy Units, but for now we're going to do Allied. Player, MP spawn. Okay. Now here it is. Now you can choose what vehicle you want. So I'm going to do the T-55 because you'll see why. Now you see allowed slots. That's not going to be on like your FA-26B. For all the DLC aircraft that have 2 seats, this is how you change how many seats you have. Now you can choose initial airspeed, however, only do initial airspeed if you are going to put the player up into the air and if your start mode is flight ready, or flight autopilot, my bad, flight autopilot. Flight ready will mean that the engines are on, as in like the free flight servers, and cold means you have to start it up completely by yourself. So we're going to put our initial airspeed back down. Now lives, you can choose to limit lives if you want by just clicking on that limit lives right there. I don't like to do that, but you can. You can choose what equipment you want to be allowed, and you can add it to an aircraft group. So that's how you get like Alpha 11, Bravo 11. So I'm going to add it to Alpha group. And now there's a couple things you can do. Say you placed it in the wrong spot, you're going to click move, and it will move to wherever your cursor is, and it will be stuck to your cursor. Not this cursor, the yellow octagon. So I'm going to place him in the hangar here. Now I'm going to click move again to paste him there. And if I want to say copy this unit, I can click copy and it will spawn another one. And then I click move where I want to paste him. You can also delete units. But for now, this is how you get spawns into the game. Now, how do you spawn your enemy? So let's say I want to spawn some enemy aircraft. Well, you can have them take off from a carrier. We'll show how to do that later. We'll show how to do takeoffs later. But for now, we're going to assume that your enemy is just going to be in the air. So I'm going to do shift, scroll up, click new unit, click enemy. Now if I do enemy player, that will turn this into a PvP mission. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to add some ASF-30s. Let's do this. We'll put them in the same aircraft group. And now I'm just going to copy. We'll do 3 of them. Oops. Here we go. Move, copy. Move. Now you can change if they are allowed to jam. If their radar enabled, they'll auto return to base or auto refuel what their fuel is at, what their altitude is at. We'll cover path and we'll cover orbit later. So you're going to see default behavior. You can do orbit, which means if you set a waypoint, which that's our next thing, waypoints, you can just click new waypoint and you can name them. That's all waypoints do. They also allow, when you create an objective, the player will be able to see where that waypoint is. But say I want to edit these guys and I make them orbit, their orbit point we can set to this waypoint and they'll basically circle around this waypoint patrolling for enemies. But for now, we're going to set their default behavior to path for all of them. Path is a really useful tool in VTOL VR. Oops. Sorry. Yeah, path is a really useful tool in VTOL VR and allows you to choose exactly where you want the enemy to go. So you're going to go over to paths. And the way paths work are super simple. You're just going to click new path, name it. So I'm going to name it enemy aircraft. Sorry, it's hard to see for me because I have my VR headset on right now because the microphone is better. All right. So now you're going to click new point. So this will be the first point of your path. And now it's almost like Minecraft coordinates. So when I go forwards and I click new point, you're going to see another new point with arrows showing which way it's going. So these planes are all going to fly forwards. And it has the coordinates right here. You can choose which paths you want. And you can also choose to loop them. So the final point will connect to the first one. So we're just going to have them keep going. Go down a little, keep going. Go down a little, keep going. And now zoom out so we can really go fast. And we're going to have them like, I don't know, come right down here. Now you're going to see how this path is kind of like curved almost. And oh, that shouldn't be happening. Something got mixed up here. Alright, there we go. Fixed up. But you're going to notice this path is kind of like just curved almost. What you can do is you can do a smooth path. You can do a linear path, which means it's going to be like just rigid straight, which is handy for if you're trying to make vehicles move through like a city, which we'll go on later. And to be honest, not sure. We'll just set smooth for now. So now if we go to units, we edit these guys, default behaviors path. So now we can select them so that they follow this path. And normally you would do this for every aircraft, but I'm trying to move fast, so let's keep it going. Now, objectives for the player. We're going to do a new objective. So objectives. I'm going to try to summarize this really fast. So the first kind of objectives, and the most common, is destroy. You can set destroy to be destroy aircraft, destroy enemy, like ground targets, so vehicles or like tents, supply depots. And this is how many you have to destroy. So if I pick the 3 enemy fighters that we added, I can have it only be 1 fighter required to be destroyed, or I can set it to be all 3. Start mode. Start mode is immediate, so as soon as you spawn in, it starts. Triggered means it has to be triggered by another event. Final means it will start. It'll be like the last objective that shows up. And as you may have expected, prerequisite is as follows. Okay, so we'll just set it to an immediate. Now, waypoint. I'm going to set it to new waypoint because that's where those enemies were. But you can also put no waypoint so the player has to find it on their own. And with a waypoint, that'll just be, it'll show them where to go. So we'll just name this destroy. The one thing I don't like is that there's a 20 character limit, but that has to be small enough so it can fit on the MFD. So just name it destroy aircraft. So that's a basic destroy objective. There are also objectives such as pickup, which is only at this current time. Before, maybe he'll add other DLCs that have seats for AI, but it's only for the AV, the Kestrel, the carrier plane. That's the only one that can pick up, and it's the only one that can drop off. Basically, you'll have to land in a certain radius of infantry, of an infantry squad, and open your doors, and they will get in. Fly to is pretty simple. You'll click fly to, you'll set a waypoint you want someone to fly to, how close they have to get to that waypoint, which will be marked by radius, and you're done. Join means join up with friendly aircraft. Land is obviously to land somewhere. Refuel, yep. Protect means you have to protect a friendly unit. And then conditional and global value are more advanced, and I will not be covering them in this tutorial. See other YouTubers' tutorials if you want to know what those are. Okay. Events. So events, they can be timed. So a timed event began immediately, say delay, just like 10 seconds. So you can do new action, you can say unit, ASF30, orbit waypoint, but you wouldn't do this, but you can do it. So you can say after a certain time, they won't follow their path and they'll just orbit a waypoint. And there's so many other things you can do with events, but I'm going to leave that to someone more skilled than I am. I'm not very skilled at doing this kind of stuff. All right, objectives. We already covered that. Bases. This has more to do with map creation, because that's when you put in the bases, is just when you're creating maps. But you can set, you'll see all the air bases here, and you can't really do anything with them once you're in the mission editor. In the map editor, though, you can switch them up. Static objectives. They're pretty much just allied, EW, land. Yeah, like they're all this static stuff. They're just things to look at. They're just there. So the next thing I'm going to cover is aircraft carriers. Aircraft carriers are really useful because new unit, C, so there's all these different, for allied, there's 3. You just have the cruiser, the aircraft carrier, and the assault carrier, which is for VTOL or the helicopter aircraft only. The enemy has a lot more when it comes to C units. C. Oh, we'll do aircraft carrier. Nope. So you're going to place in your aircraft carrier. It's just like an aircraft, except this is how you set what radio frequency it's on. C group, I'm going to set it to Bravo, just like the aircraft. Default behavior, you can have it parked, you can have it moved to a waypoint of your choosing, or once again, you can do a path. You can do hull number and engage enemies, choosing whether or not it will fire its missiles and CWIS on enemies. Spawn immediately, how soon does it spawn? Is it invincible? Is it respawnable? Or does it receive friendly damage? And detection mode is choosing if enemy aircraft will be forced to detect it, if they can't detect it, or if it's just like default and they find it. But what's really interesting about carriers, oh, by the way, rename is how you rename pretty much everything. Edit carrier. Now here you'll see all the spots we can choose to put our players on. And once you do that and you click OK and you click accept, that's how you get players onto the aircraft carrier. Now, let's cover some ground targets here. Let's do a new unit, enemy, APC. We'll do an enemy APC. So we can choose it to have engage enemies. We're going to have it engage. We're not going to have it stop. We're going to, its movement speed, we'll do medium. And its default behavior is going to be path. We're going to have it follow a path. So we're going to do path, new point, move forward, say to like right here, new point. And because we're in like a city right now, you're going to want to set it to linear so it follows exactly. Otherwise, it will it'll hit a building if you're doing smooth path, because smooth path is designed for aircraft in the air where you have lots of space. But if you try to do smooth path right here, it will hit a building. So we're just going to have him turn. He'll go all the way back here. Oops, kind of messed that up. Go right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set loop. So then you can see it goes back here. So he's just going to drive in a big old square. Except you have to make sure you click default path, and this one's just new path. I would probably name it like enemy APC. But now he's going to drive around. And I'm kind of just summarizing everything we've learned so far. So I'm going to go to Objectives, New, Edit, Destroy, APC. Oop, hold on. Okay. We're actually going to put a waypoint on this guy. New waypoint. We'll rename it to APC. And now we'll put objective. New objective. He's going to destroy the APC, and now we can set a waypoint for the player. You can choose whether the waypoint gets auto set when the player chooses the objective, or if the player has to set it themselves. And now events. You can also have events happen due to objectives, which is pretty cool. And I will demonstrate this with, let's say, a friendly infantryman. So put a little infantry guy poking his head around the building. So we're going to have our infantrymen here. Actually, hold on. To do what I'm about to do, you have to set the APC to either slow or parked. Note, if you want the APC to keep moving, set it to whatever speed you want. But due to the fact that I want to do something here, I'm going to have to set him to slow. It's because infantry, yeah, close. So if we go to objectives, new objective, edit, start event. So this means once this objective is started, this event will also start. Completed event means once this objective is completed, this event will start or end. And failed event means if you fail this objective, an event will happen. So start event, we're going to select action, unit. We're going to select our infantry dude here. Oh, he's enemy. Oh, whoops. Whoopsies. I didn't want to make him enemy. We're going to put a friendly infantry guy here. Sorry. And now we'll go to objectives, our new objective, edit. You'll notice your event also saves, but click select action, unit, infantry, JTAC. Infantries have JTAC lasers, which means when you're from the sky, if you put in their laser code into your seek, so you choose your laser seek code to be their laser code, you can see them ground lasing a target, which is pretty cool. And I used it in my newest mission that I created. So we'll have JTAC lays unit, or units if you want it to do multiple. We'll put his laser code to be like 1, 2, 3, 6. And NVG marker. That just means you'll be able to see it with night vision. So now, basically, this is just to demonstrate events. When this mission starts, this infantryman, if I put my laser seek code to 1, 2, 3, 6, I'll be able to see him ground lasing the APC, which will mark it for like laser guided bombs or whatever. So that's pretty much the end of the tutorial here. Oh yeah, you gotta make sure you put a target for them. That's pretty much the end of the tutorial here, though. I mean, there's a couple more things I could cover, like there's a help section, there's Steam. Launch, you can launch the scenario in real time to see, like, you can just fly the mission to see, but like basically play test. There's a measuring tool, so you can measure how far things are, repack map. There's a mini map, and you can recenter. And now here is the final thing. There's also save. You might want to save every couple of minutes just in case your game does crash. But there's also the final thing you're going to have to do is scenario info. You can set the time of day, you can set it to be optional, override, month, day of the year, wind speed, direction variation, infinite ammo if you want it. That's not very realistic, but you can do it. You can do separate briefings if you have players on each team. And this is where you edit the briefing. So these are the different pages. You just type whatever you want. And then you click OK. Briefings are actually required. You do need to do them. Same thing with titles and descriptions. Images are not required, but titles, descriptions, and images are all required for a mission. Oh, YouTube. Alright, so I can just click OK. Click File, Save, File, Quit. Oh, File, Quit. It'll give you a warning. Click OK. So now you have your thing here. As long as you have a title and a description, you're good to upload it to the Steam workshop. You can choose if it's visible, so public, everyone, private, just you and the game's developers, I believe. Unlisted is anyone who has the link, and friends only is your Steam friends. So I'm going to set it to private. And then you'll click upload. I'm not going to upload this, but it'll say, whatever. It should say uploading, upload success. And then you can click back. And that is how you create missions in VTOL VR. I really hope this tutorial helped, and that you guys can get out there and create some awesome missions, because it's a lot of fun to create missions and then fly them yourself. Alright, hopefully see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, I know this is usually where the outro is. Thank you for watching this far. Did you enjoy the tutorial? Hope you did. I hope it helps some people start creating some more missions. As I mentioned, you might want to go check out some other YouTubers who have created tutorials on the mission editor, just because they will cover it more in depth and fully than I ever could. But I just wanted to take this moment to talk about my personal campaign that I created. I created a full-on VTOL VR campaign. It's still in development. As of now, I believe it has 5 missions, and you can do various things such as capture enemy air bases, destroy early warning radars, even realistic, as I showed off with the JTAC laser, realistic air-to-ground support, and so much more coming in the future. I hope you guys enjoy it. I will leave a Steam Workshop link to it down below. It would mean a ton to me if you guys would download it and just play it with your friends so it gets more recognition. Thank you so much.